How did this sizable fund come about, and what's the thinking behind it?
First of all, I'd say this has been quite a long journey for the RCB. We started off thinking about the 5 marks of mission, and treasure being one of those 5 marks of mission, which is a theological beginning and thinking to climate change. And when we then started looking at parishes and what parishes do and the activities they do, we thought about, well, they use a lot of energy, they have lots of sites, so we looked at biodiversity. And then we looked at the energy they consume and the waste they create. So those 4 pillars became the, if you like, Church of Ireland, the RCB climate change pillars that we wanted to focus in on.
The fund itself is valued at £300,000 or €348,000. How will the money be used, and what type of projects are you particularly looking to assist?
First of all, I'd say that the money comes from Benefact Trust primarily, and we're very grateful to Benefact Trust for our long partnership with them. But also it's complemented by 100,000 from the Church Fabric and Development Fund, which is a Church of Ireland fund. So that altogether gives us our 300,000 sterling. And then what we're going to use that for is to identify demonstrator projects which are either north or south of the border. They could be rural or they could be in urban settings. And these projects would be, if you like, inspirational to other parishes who want to do something similar. So the idea is to identify these demonstrator projects, use the grant funding to reward them, and then use some of the funding for grants for follow-on projects which show and use the innovation that is determined through these innovator projects.
Can you give me a flavour of the type of projects that you're actually thinking of?
Yeah, it's difficult at this stage, and in a way, I'd hate to take the fun and the excitement out of what's been done here, because what we'd really like parishes to do is come up with their own plans, because every context is different. And for the RCB, we're central, but it's the parishes in a local context who will be able to find what is locally appropriate for them. And also they'll have expertise within their parishes who will be able to find the most appropriate technologies or methods or just use of a grant fund for their parish. But to come back to you, what we have found is when we've looked at projects similar in other churches is that solar will feature, I've no doubt. LED lighting will feature, I have no doubt. Heat pumps, but it's not just about these technologies, it's about how they're appropriately used within that parish context. I'll give you an example. A parish may already have started and built a parish hall, which might be separate from the church building itself, and they may just want to connect the two. And that in itself is a solution. Which another parish won't be able to think of because its structure is different. So what we're trying to find is unique solutions to each parish's challenge of addressing climate change.
You mentioned the Benefact Trust and the partnership that you have with it. How important is that relationship?
We have worked with Benefact Trust to identify climate change as another, if you like, big theme for which the Church of Ireland could work with the support of Benefact Trust to help parishes address the challenges of climate change. So the relationship is really important to what we're doing here. We couldn't do it without them. And to be fair to them, they are the majority sponsor of this project.
The Church of Ireland has about 1,000 properties throughout the island of Ireland. What's the message that you're sending out to parishes and dioceses at this stage?
I hope the message the parishes will hear is that we're working for them, that we and other funders like the Benefact Trust would like to encourage them to think of their mission in the broadest sense. Of course, community is key for any parish, and those who come through the doors are very much welcomed into every parish, I'm sure. And what we're trying to do here is encourage parishes to think of this broader community context. And as we think about the criteria that we'll be applying to the application process, one of the criteria will be community. And the community engagement that can be achieved through climate change initiatives, we believe, can only be supportive of the broader mission of parishes within the Church of Ireland.
Here's to a resounding success. David Ritchie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ray.